Hello and welcome to the Tobacco Road and Abroad. My name is Gareth Parsons, joined by Aiden Moore, and we have got a full slate for you today. We've got March Madness, we've got fun stories, we've got positive stories, we got some interesting stories, to say the least. I don't know which one we want to start with, but I mean, I
Let's
want
start off with the positive. Let's start off with the positive, Gareth, and then we can get into our rants and disputes because we do have a little bit of disagreements that we should probably air on the pod with each other.
yeah. So obviously for the good news, the um for those of you who are aware, Blackstone Valley School or Blackstone Valley High School in Rhode Island. That was the team where they were the victim of that shooting the other week in Rhode Island. They have a positive ending. This past Sunday, in quadruple overtime, they won the Rhode Island State Championship. I think that's great. I think it's a good turnaround for the community. They kind of, the community kind of rallied around them. The game was hosted at Providence College. The student body showed up and showed out for them, which I think was a nice touch by the community there. And it's good to see that community is kind of coming together. When I was there, the college's relation with the local community was not the best.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good to see that that's on the mend and that this community came together over that tragedy, and it was ultimately had a happy ending. Obviously, the loss of life is, there's no positive way to spend that, but it's nice that they were able to get their happy ending. And
Absolutely. Moments like these kind of exemplify the power of sports and the power of community coming together. And a tragedy like this, having a silver lining on what is a horrific tragedy, but being able to see a community come together is something that is always positive, and we love to see it here.
yep, it's a good one. I'm happy it happened. I was really excited when I saw that. I was like, they needed that. I'm like, that's awesome. They're gonna make a movie about that. With how that I saw the highlights from that game. That's gonna end up being a movie someday. That's gonna be like those '90s sports movies we hear about. Like they're gonna make a Coach Carter style movie about that team.
Mm-hmm.
But no, elsewhere, I was telling Aiden off air. Every time I have soccer news for him, it's just going to turn him off from the sport because it's just corruption, corruption, corruption. So we have two funny stories today before we get into March Madness. I just figured I'd address it because I'm wearing my Chelsea jersey. So, yeah, we committed fraud apparently. And the amounts of like $10 million. We told on ourselves at least. So the punishment is we just can't trade, buy, or sell players for a year. Still not good. But I think it's just kind of how our season's going at this point. They've been on a little bit of a slide. And then, yeah, kind of a kick in the balls while we're down.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
What happens in the event of, like, I don't know, let's say Chelsea gets the injury bug and, like, okay, you're down like multiple men and you can only like field 10 men on the field right now. Is there any exception for that? Like, hey, let's bring one guy up just so we can field an 11-man like game, or are they like screwed in that event?
I think there'd be an exception because the transfer ban, I forgot to mention, is also they can't promote players from within their ranks for 9 months. I think in that they get some special dispensation because there's been stuff similar to that where it's like there's been smaller teams who've gotten in trouble financially and they get fined. And it's like, well, we can either pay this fine or miss our rent payment on the stadium. And then like the governing body, like, no. You have a great community there. Pay your rent to keep the stadium and pay us later when you have money. We'll charge you interest, of course, at exorbitant rates.
Exorbitant
rates. But we'll let you keep the team. Don't, at least the silver lining again, don't miss your rent. They won't let you miss your rent payment.
Interest rates that rival that of car dealerships right next to military bases. It's stupid rates.
Indeed.
50% interest.
African Cup of Nations. For those of you who aren't aware, Senegal beat Morocco 3 months ago. Now you're probably saying, Gareth,
Allegedly.
Why are you talking? Allegedly, Gareth, why are you talking about it 3 months later? Well, there is a bad call, allegedly, and the Senegal players left the pitch. Their ball boys left the pitch with the balls. They came back 15 minutes later, saved the whatever penalty kick that Morocco got out of the blown call. So it doesn't matter in the end. So you're thinking no harm, no foul, play on. And play on they did. And Senegal would go on and get the winning goal in overtime. But 3 months later, little did you know, someone looking through the rule book finds a rule that says, at least in African soccer, if you leave the football pitch for X amount of time, it is considered a forfeit. So what does the African Federation do? They take the title away from Morocco. They take the title away from Senegal and give it to Morocco. Switcheroo. Aiden's over here like, what is this?
You know, I was having a good conversation with my dad today at this bar where we were getting some wings, and on the TV was I think it was like a U.S. Cup matchup or something like that. And he was like, you know what, Aiden, what do you think the impact of Ted Lasso was on like Americans watching soccer? And I said, I don't know, but Dad, I've been learning a little bit about soccer. Dad, this stuff is kind of corrupt. And not 5 hours later, Gareth comes in with some breaking news for me, validating my point.
I just feel like every time I have soccer news for Aiden, it's, oh, my belief that soccer is corrupt has been confirmed even more.
I thought boxing was bad, which it is, but damn, they should make soccer corruption a sport of in itself.
It is. I mean, how do you think there's certain countries that bribe their way to get the World Cup? You think Qatar got that thing fairly?
Hell no.
All the member nations vote for who they want to have it next. How do you think South Africa got it? South Africa's in hot water right now because the last FIFA president's in jail for accepting bribes from South Africans to put the World Cup there.
Didn't they literally make a movie about that guy like back in 2016 when he was having that case or something like that? And it was a horrible movie too. Like, I forgot what it was called, but like that movie was horrible. And it was also propaganda for this dude, or for FIFA in general.
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah, Sepp Blatter is kind of a stain on FIFA history. You kind of want to forget about him, honestly.
Garrett, FIFA history is filled with stains. He's just another addition to it.
he's just the latest addition.
He's just a different brush stroke in this very stained masterpiece.
Hayden's like, I can't wait for the World Cup this summer. Some fuck shit's gonna happen too in the World Cup this summer. I can feel it. There's gonna be like some scandal.
Oh, indubitably.
I can't even say what I think it is. I think it get us canceled on air. And we cannot afford a second strike. I hate having to click a box saying, are you sure you want to upload? Are you sure you want to make sure this content's safe for the internet? All right, well, I know we got corruption out of the way. It's only bad when we're not involved.
It's only bad if we're
We've
not
got
involved.
some first four action. We'll start with NC State. That was fucking rough. You can take everything. I complained to Aiden about a lot last night. You can take everything else, but all my main complaints are about the last minute or so of that game.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's my thing. About this, I want to say first and foremost, Copeland, that motherfucking ball, from NC State, man, absolute ice in the veins, just stud of a man. I saw him make 2 separate threes. If he didn't make those, NC State's completely out of the game. NC State did play their heart out in that final minute of the game, I do want to say. And I feel like Texas gave them plenty of opportunity, and for the most part, State did capitalize on it. I think maybe on that last Texas possession, some of the like State defense was a little bit, it wasn't as good as like what they were just putting up like 30 seconds prior. But a really good performance by NC State, but Texas just kind of edged out with it a little bit more. The deficit was a little bit too big when it came down to the clutch. Texas also had some very, very clutch shots. It was one of those games where I was just sitting out, I was sitting back and enjoying, because each team I felt like was performing at their best. Every single shot was met with another shot, and I wasn't sitting down on the couch. I was just in awe with the basketball that I was seeing. However,
it was a good game. It was
at
better
the
than
end of the
last
game, I pulled up my phone and I pulled up Garrett's text, and I just waited because I wanted to see what this motherfucker was going to complain about.
I have 3 complaints about the final minute. Can you or can you not call a timeout when you do not have possession of the ball? No. They were given that twice in the final minute. Twice. Like the technical foul, whatever, end of the game. That's
the technical foul. I was gonna talk about that. You were trying to like lobby for. I'm sorry. I rewatched that multiple times. The one issue I have, okay, like a coach comes onto the court maybe a little bit early.
Two.
The second guy was on the line. That was one coach, Garrett.
The other guy was 15 feet out on the court.
The guy, okay, it was after the shot was made. NC State then calls timeout. I'm sorry. I'm not calling a technical foul in that situation. If a technical foul was called, Gareth, I know for a fact you would be disappointed that that game came down to that. You might be happy that NC State would have won, but that is not a way to end that game.
I mean, it's a rule, isn't it?
Motherfucker. Here's my thing. Also, you're like, you're all so. And here's the point that you're gonna say. You're gonna say, I want consistency. That's it. That's going to be.
You want consistency within the rules.
You don't want consistency, Gareth. You drop on this podcast every week talking about Big East basketball and how nobody can handle Big East basketball when they freaking murder people in Big East basketball.
I want consistent Big East basketball across the board.
And then when it doesn't work out, you're like, we need consistency, man. We need consistency. You don't like consistency, Gareth, and that's okay.
No, I do like consistency if everyone gets the Big East rules. But the problem is, one game you get touch fouls, and the next game it's like, all right, let's play. We play in New York. And the next game it's now we're playing New Jersey style basketball. We're playing, clean.
I can understand wanting consistency within like a game itself. So like, let's say, if one team is like obviously like one team's elbowing and not getting fouls, and that team that they're going up against is getting called on fouls with like the most minor of touches, I can understand wanting consistency with that. But game to game, you're not getting consistency, and that's okay. That's that's how basketball is. Some nights like it's the same with football. Sometimes they just let them play, and then these situations where like it's play-in, March Madness, just in general, I'm fine with a little bit more like stuff going through because it's March Madness.
I'm fine with them letting them play too.
No,
if you let them play. What do you mean? Go back and watch Boca Titus on all those rebounds where we get called for a foul. You'll notice an elbow in the face, a hook and hold. Flagrant one, by the way. That's a flagrant one, by the way. If both teams are getting away with murder, okay, that's good.
murder's a little bit a little bit of an exaggeration for what like Texas was doing, Gareth. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, a flagrant one no call is kind of egregious in
It
my
was
mind.
not a flagrant. Okay.
Arm up and an extension to the face is a flagrant one.
All right, maybe we saw different games or something like that. You know, maybe I'm a little bit biased. I might admit, like I might be a little bit biased, but Gareth, you are a little bit biased too. Okay.
I know. My point is, if you're gonna call it like that on the glass, call it both ways. If you're gonna call touch fouls on rebounds, okay. You know what? If you want to call like to the exact letter of the law, that's fine. But don't let a guy just completely up and extend into a guy on a rebound. Like, yeah, boxing out, if there's a little bit of hand fighting boxing out, I like that because how do you box out? Arms out like this, not like this. You're not doing duck quacks. You're not doing the chicken dance, all right? I don't know what this guy does over in Greece when he plays basketball. I don't know how they teach him over there. But you don't rebound like this up into someone's face. Hands down, cross the thighs. That's how I was taught. Sounds sus as fuck when you think about it, but that's how Mr. Hinchin taught me down at the Salvation Army. Shout out Mr. Hinchin. Great Lord's family. Your son Lowell was cool. But no. Yeah, thankfully we can get rid of some dead weight on that team. Darian Williams, don't know what we were paying that guy to do. Trey Holloman, we pay you basically just to make free throws at this point. Terrence Arsenault, we basically paid for your child support. Basically, for what you did, you just played for NC State for child support. And not that you need it. It's NC State was paying you for your child. I'm not saying he and his wife have split up. He and his wife are expecting, which congratulations. But I'm just saying.
Congratulations. God bless.
With the way you were playing, you just looked like you were collecting a paycheck. You just looked like you were collecting money to pay for the diapers, buddy.
Hey, Pampers are expensive now, man.
I will say, you were a great player on the defensive end, but the whole goal of the game of basketball is you're trying to put the ball in the hoop. You're trying to put the ball in the hoop. Not off the front iron, not airball it, in the hoop. I know how Kelvin Sampson teaches you guys down at Houston. You don't score a whole lot of buckets down there. Like, your whole thing is defense. But eventually you got to shoot. But no. I think it's an all right first year. Not ideal.
I think it's a great first year so far with Will Wade. I mean, I think y'all are on a good path right now. I mean, I know earlier in the season, and especially at the beginning of this tournament, I had you guys going a little bit further. I thought your ceiling was maybe like the round of 32, but still making the playing game. I think that's nothing to hang your head over. Like,
I just wanted them to make the tournament. I know a lot of NC State fans are pissed right now, and everyone thought I was being too pessimistic to start the season. And I was like, you know what? If we just make the tournament, I'll be happy. And this is the first time Will Wade's made the tournament in his first season out of team.
Yeah.
This is the first time. I mean, and I believe he's entered an elite category of coaches where he's taken 5+ programs to March Madness. And he's up there with some big names. He's up there with like Pitino now, Calipari, Jay Wright, I believe, which to do it at his young age, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Now, the reason he's been at so many teams, it's legal now, so we can't fault him. But
yeah.
Hey, him and Shaka Smart taking VCU to the Final Four in 2011. I think, obviously, the McNeese run, the LSU run that he had. Yeah. Oh, I have some points on VCU later. I'm not sure if I have them beating Carolina, but I have some points, and I think I have a case study I want to do with you. Not about the Carolina game, but about the VCU athletic department. I think I did some research into them, and I think there's some interesting pointers, and I think a lot of teams particularly struggling Power 5 programs can learn a lot from them. But we'll get into that later. But I did some research, and I think their props have got to be going out to VCU because they have some pretty astounding. They hold a pretty astounding record in college basketball right now, and I think I think there's a lot of weight that a lot can be learned from their athletic director, and I think. Sorry, that it was just spurred because I saw some that she made a retirement speech today, and I think every single Power 5 school needs to interview her and what she's done and like how to replicate her success.
Yeah.
But obviously, elsewhere in the first four, Prairie View A&M won today. I didn't get a chance to watch that game.
I watched a little bit of it. I'm not gonna lie. This game don't really matter, man. I'm sorry, y'all. God love Prairie View. They're looking good. Like Dante Horn, averaging 20 points a game. But I didn't see them and say, "Ooh, this is going to be a 16 seed taken down in Florida." Yeah. But good for the program. And same with Howard. Same with Howard.
They got their first NCAA win. Howard did.
Yeah.
Elsewhere in the first four, Miami of Ohio beats SMU. Miami of Ohio just decided to open the fucking arsenal the second they got an inch of space. They shot really well tonight.
Yeah, they're looking good, and this Miami of Ohio team definitely could, shock some people. I did not expect them to show out the way they did against SMU, but man, they might be getting hot right now. They might be a mad hot team. Like both mad about like how the MAC tournament turned out, how the disrespect that they've been getting, maybe rightfully so with their strength of schedule. But they're a team that's might be getting hot right now and might have a little bit of fire under them with how things have been going as of late. They're a dangerous team.
Yeah.
Can't from see there, my king, Boopy Miller.
Yeah.
Making a tournament.
Boopy Miller.
Boopy. But with that being said, let's jump into the different matchups. We're going to go division by division, starting with the East, going to the West, South, and Midwest. So starting over at the East, we have Duke at the 1 seed. They're going to be going up against Siena. I like this Duke team a lot. Spoiler, they're my pick for at least the Final Four, if not winning the national championship. I'm going to try to give ceilings and floors for a lot of teams right now. Right now, my floor for Duke is the Sweet 16, but their ceiling, winning the national championship. I like them a lot against Siena. I'm picking Duke.
I am as well. I don't foresee Siena shocking the world, particularly here, so I'm going with Duke as well. I think with you, I think for me, I think their floor is definitely the Sweet 16. I think whoever they get out of St. John's and Kansas, I'm not counting the teams they're playing out, but I'm saying like worst case scenario for Duke. I think St. John's or Kansas could shock them, but I just think Duke is too solid, and just the issues with St. John's and Kansas are a little too glaring. And I think regardless of Duke being down their starting point guard, I don't think it'll cause them too much issues.
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of people are saying, oh, Duke has one of the hardest paths to the Final Four. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. I think their toughest competition literally could be the 2 seed in UConn, and I'm not sold on them either. So I think a lot of people are overblowing this this path to the Final Four for Duke. But going to the 8 and 9 seed matchup of this tournament, we have Ohio State versus TCU. Not sold on Ohio State at all. I mean, like their most notable win, in my opinion, is the win against Wisconsin and the win against Purdue. All other uh, key games they've lost. Um, I like. I'm also a little bit more fond of this Big 12 conference, TCU, averaging more points. Actually, no, uh, averaging less points a game than Ohio State, but I like their performance against the top 25. TCU has 3 wins against the top 25. Ohio State has 2. Um, Matchup predictor has Ohio State winning this one, but I got to go with the Horned Frogs on this one.
I'm actually going to have to disagree with you on this one. I'm going Ohio State. I know resume-wise, Ohio State's not as impressive, but when you look at Ohio State's individual numbers, I like them just a little bit better with the tournament, at least and this is just my experience and with picking games in the tournament. A lot of these games often end up as just like a micro, like they end up in a thing of their own. Like one saying that I think reigns true for a lot of the tournament is during the NC State run in 2024. Kevin Keats kept saying, not even that, oh, we're on a run. Every game was a new season. That was his mantra. It wasn't just, oh, we're in the round of, we made the NCAA tournament. It's a new season now. No, every game was a new season. And just looking at these individual numbers, Ohio State has the 14th best offense in terms of efficiency, 48th best defense. Conversely, TCU has the 30th best defense. For right now, Ohio State just tends to shoot the ball better, a little bit better than TCU. TCU also tends to struggle to defend the 3 a lot. They sit around 165th in 3-point defense. Ohio State shoots 36% from the floor. That's going to be something that's going to be really tough for them to stop, particularly Ohio State is one of the highest utilizers of 3-point shooting. They shoot threes on about 40% of their possessions. And I like this Ohio State team a little bit more. Now, I will say, I do think there's a path for TCU. TCU does turn teams over about 20 times a game, which they force about 20 turnovers, which that could be incredibly tricky. And that's another thing. Things that are big in March are 3-point shooting and turnovers. Those things could cancel each other out. But for right now, unless TCU is able to turn Ohio State over in big numbers, which Ohio State has done a very good job of taking care of the basketball this year to begin with. They only turn the ball over about 14 times a game. So something's going to have to give here, but I'm leaning Buckeyes in terms of vibes here. These teams are very similar metrics-wise, but I'm leaning Buckeyes here.
After that, we have St. John's versus Northern Iowa University. I got St. John's in this one, but UNI, my apologies, UNI has had a history of kind of playing spoiler in March, and it's been a little while since I remember seeing them in the tournament. So something could be here, but I like the St. John's team a lot. I think they've kind of righted the ship a little bit.
I agree as well. I'm going St. John's. I think there's a lot of mid-majors that were overseeded this year. Now, that could just be a product of a really, really weak bubble. Normally, we see a few more Power 4 teams in that 12 seed line. I know as of late, they're trying to, unless you're really scraping it in there. Like, say your resume is fine, but you're like, you did what you're supposed to do. Your resume is fine, but you're not one of the last 4 in, but your resume is not that impressive. That's when they stick a Power 4 team on that 12 seed line. But I think I just think St. John's going to be too much for this Northern Iowa team. I like them, and I know they've played spoiler, but I'm going St. John's here. I think St. John's is just too big and too physical. St. John's have Zuby Ejiofor, Bryce Hopkins, 2 bigs who are incredibly athletic for their size, and both can shoot threes despite being like 6'6", 6'8", respectively. So I think just the size and athleticism of St. John's is just going to be too much.
Yeah. Now we got the 4 and 13 seed matchup. Now, 4 and 13 seed matchups are one that I always keep my eye on because these are where the real upsets happen, in my opinion. We have Kansas versus California Baptist. Why is this matchup looking at me kind of weird, Gareth?
Because statistically, every tournament you should pick at least one 4-13 upset, one 11-6, and one 12-5. It's happened every one of the last 20 years. Now,
Yep.
the 4-13 hasn't happened every single year like it has with the 12 and the 11-6, but it happens more often than it doesn't.
Yeah. Mm. I don't know if I want to pull the trigger right now, but Kansas, watch your back on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Kansas on this. While statistically there's going to be one, I just don't know if Cal Baptist is that team. Similar to St. John's, I just think Kansas is too athletic. They're too big. They've got too much size. And this isn't even a skill thing or, they're not as good at basketball. I just think that Kansas just has the size on them. And I think that's going to make it really, really tough. So I'm going Kansas here. Up next, we got South Florida, Louisville, Aiden.
Man, I'm going to say it. This is the battle of the frauds.
I don't get the hype on either of them either.
I don't get the hype on either of these teams, Gareth. Like, everyone's acting like South Florida is like the next coming of, they're the next Butler, man. They're the next, like, man, you gotta look out for South Florida. I'm not seeing it. But in the same mark, Louisville, you're a little bit fraudulent, brother. You have
They're missing Michael Brown Jr. too.
I'm still picking Louisville on this one.
I am as well. They run very similar styles of offense. They just kind of chuck and pray.
Yeah.
So give me Louisville. And caveat, I know he's in the running for the Providence job. I don't want the South Florida coach. I despise the way they play offense. I genuinely do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want another 3-point dominated shooting offense at Providence for a while. It just has not manifested well there when we've had an outside offense. So will not be a happy camper if we get their coach, Alex Hodgson.
All righty. Then after that, we have Michigan State versus North Dakota State. The Bison. I got Michigan State.
Yeah, I hate to be chalk here as well, but I got Michigan State as well. I think this team's just too good, and they're really talented. I like them. I watched them play a few times this season. I know they're on a little bit of a slide in that Big Ten tournament where they kind of got upset by UCLA, but I'm still going Michigan State here.
Yeah, UCLA versus UCF. I like this UCF team a lot. I'm picking them to win it. I've seen this UCF team play a couple times this year. They're just one of those teams that you can't really sleep on. Even in their losses, they give teams a good running for it. They've kept it close with Arizona. Had some bad losses like against Houston and Iowa State. Dominating win against BYU. Fraudulent, which we will explain later. But I don't know. I'm sold on this UCF team.
You feel the same way I think about how I feel about UCLA. I like them just a little bit better in this game. These teams are very similar from a standpoint of they do excuse me, sorry. They do certain fundamental things very well.
Mm-hmm.
UCLA takes care of the basketball.
Yeah.
They don't turn the ball over. They only average about 12 turnovers a game. Meanwhile, UCF dominates the offensive glass.
Mm-hmm.
They average around 34 offensive rebounds a game, which is insane.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is just going to be a battle of can UCLA hit their shots? Can UCLA box out? Can UCLA take care of the basketball? But then on the other side, can UCF get to the offensive glass? They also defensive rebound particularly well too. which is something UCLA struggles with. Rebounding's kind of been the thorn in their side all year.
Yeah.
So it's somewhere there's going to be have to be a difference made up. But I like UCLA here. They take care of the basketball. They don't give it up a whole lot. But this UCF team would not surprise me if they go on a run of their own either. I like both these teams, but I'm going to have to pick UCLA.
Moving on to the round of 32, and for these next picks, since they are not final, we are just going to be kind of giving brief overviews. Gareth and I, obviously, from this point on, are going to be having some similar games, some different games, but this is just going to be a little bit more of a lightning round. Round of 32 matchup, I have Duke versus TCU. I have Duke winning that. St. John's versus Kansas, I have St. John's winning that. Louisville versus Michigan State, I have Michigan State winning that. UCF versus UConn, I have. Wait, did we even talk about UConn versus Furman?
No, we didn't. But honestly, I don't think we need to.
UConn wins
UConn.
that. Yeah, UConn. Okay. And then in my matchup, UCF versus UConn, I have UConn winning that. Moving on to the Sweet 16, I have Duke versus St. John's. I have Duke winning that. Michigan State versus UConn. I have Michigan State winning that. And then Duke versus Michigan State. Duke moves on to the Final Four.
I have some similarities and differences. Starting in my round of 32, I have Duke versus Ohio State. I got Duke taking that one. St. John's, Kansas, much like Aiden, I got St. John's winning that one. I just think all the things that both these teams do well, St. John's does better. I think they're a little disrespected and got a little underseeded, particularly after their wins over UConn, particularly 2 dominant wins over UConn. And they kind of just had their way with the Big East. And then Louisville, Michigan State, I got Michigan State. And then for me, I have UCLA and UConn. Talk about fraudulent.
Ooh.
This UConn team is fraudulent.
Mm-hmm.
Relatively speaking, the UConn teams have passed.
Yes.
They struggle with consistency. They struggle with executing. With the way Dan Hurley wants them to play offense, they run a lot of set plays. It's very similar to high school in that they have a very rigid, structured offense. And Dan Hurley is having a very hard time getting those players that he has to execute the offense he wants. And a lot of times there are a significant amount of miscues. And when you have a team that doesn't take care of the ball as well, like up against a team like UCLA who takes care of the ball very, very well, I'm favoring UCLA to ups. In this hypothetical, I would have UCLA over UConn.
That's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous at all.
Duke, St. John's, I got Duke. I think Duke's just a little too good. I like St. John's, but I think St. John's is a little bit of a ceiling.
Yeah.
For me, even if they beat Duke, I think their ceiling is going to be that Elite Eight.
Yeah.
Then obviously Michigan State, UCLA. Unlike the Big Ten tournament, I have Michigan State beating UCLA. UCLA beat Michigan State in the Big Ten tournament to advance to the semifinals. But this time around, I've got Michigan State winning, even though UCLA blew them out not a week ago. Then I've got Duke, Michigan State in the Elite Eight. I've got Duke going to my Final Four from the East region.
All righty. Moving on to the West. Seed number 1 versus 16. We have Arizona versus Long Island. Fins up.
This is the only upset I'll be happy. This is the only game where I took the high seed where I'll be mad where I won't be mad if I got it wrong. Because I want to see fins up.
Oh, absolutely. America is not ready for the fins up run. And for that, I have to pick Arizona. But
yeah,
a fins up
Aiden
run.
and I've been following these guys for a while now.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's the
last year.
Nothing's more satisfying than realizing some of your coworkers also know the fins up lore. So fins up, it's not just a hand gesture or a body gesture. It's a movement. And I would love to see a fins up run, but unfortunately, this Arizona team is really, really good. I don't see them slipping in this. So Arizona moves on, in my opinion. Fins up, please forgive me.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately going to have to go with Arizona as much as I'd want to see that. As much as I'd want to see that so badly.
You know what? Screw it, though. If Long Island wins this one, write them into the Sweet 16 already.
Yeah, no, if Long Island wins that one, they're beating whoever wins Villanova Utah State. That's just
No.
what's gonna happen.
Yeah, no. But after that, we have Villanova versus Utah State. Um,
Holy fraud on both of these.
oh my lord. I mean, I like Utah State a little bit more. I feel like they have a little bit more convincing wins. Have a good win against VCU, Colorado State, split with San Diego State.
Santa
Yeah,
Clara.
yeah. I like Utah State in this one.
Villanova is just too injury riddled for me. Villanova doesn't do a whole lot of. Villanova does a lot of things well on the offensive end, but when it comes to just the fundamentals, they really don't do a whole lot. Their offense is pretty efficient, but they're very slow. So if you catch them on a bad shooting night, which has been known to happen this season, they're kind of toast.
Yeah.
They don't quite shoot the ball as well as Utah State from two. Villanova shoots about 54%, which is all right. Utah State shoots a staggering 62 or 60% from two, 48% from three. And then just with that, Villanova just struggling with free throws, being not so great at defensive rebounding, not so great at offensive rebounding either, being a slow team all around, and just the chaotic nature of the tournament. In my mind, with the chaotic nature of the tournament, I think it pays more to be, and I think there's a caveat to this as well. You don't want to be too one way or the other. You don't want to be like out of control Alabama, BYU, like just tempo, jack three. But you don't want to be like Houston's in a different case because they are just so efficient.
Yeah.
With how slow they are. And they've actually sped their tempo up from last year.
Oh, absolutely.
But Villanova is so slow that if they have a bad shooting night, they're going to get blown the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
And with how good Utah State shoots, I just can't in good conscience pick Villanova. And they've got to case the injury bug as well. So for me, give me Utah State here.
After that, we have Wisconsin versus High Point. I mean, High Point.
There's potential.
They have potential, but like I just don't see it against Wisconsin at all. Yeah,
I think Wisconsin's too good. I know High Point's frisky. They have the Oakland build. They've got a frisky guy who can get hot from three. He volume shoots threes. And I will say, historically speaking, in the NCAA tournament, a team that just shoots a lot of volume threes and they have a fast tempo, that's the team you're going to want to go to make the upset.
Mm-hmm.
So when picking upsets, go to the team that plays faster and shoots a lot of threes. That's not always going to hit, but that's a good blueprint to follow. High Point follows that blueprint, but people can call this a cop-out answer or whatever you want. I just think they're just too. High Point is a very guard-dominant team.
Yeah.
So is Wisconsin, but Wisconsin's got a lot more size on the inside. They are very similar in terms of they don't turn the ball over a whole lot, and High Point actually forces a lot of turnovers. I can see why this is a trendy upset pick. High Point hits their free throws. High Point shoots very well from the field. They volume shoot a lot of threes. They shoot threes on 53% of their possessions, but you know who also does that? Wisconsin. Wisconsin has a much more efficient offense. And on top of that, their three-point defense is all right. They give up a three about 40% of the time on defense. Yes, High Point has the ability to turn them over a lot. I just think Wisconsin, they shoot exceedingly well from three, and they utilize it very well as well. And they succeed on the defensive glass, which I think is going to play in favor of their size. High Point's not the key for High Point here is stealing possessions, which obviously they can do with turnovers. But I'm gonna have to side with Wisconsin here because Wisconsin too plays this kind of fast style of basketball that High Point loves to play, like this high, fast, 4 out, 1 in type 3-point shooting offense. So I'm going with Wisconsin here.
Mm-hmm. Up next is Arkansas versus Hawaii. I have a weird feeling about this Hawaii team, Gareth. Like they're getting hot at near the end of the season. I feel like they've gotten really hot. Like starting in February with good wins against like UC San Diego, UC Santa Barbara, UC Irvine. They have a really good defense. I like their defense a lot. It's very tournament friendly in my opinion. But this Arkansas team is very elite. I don't know how I feel about this matchup, but Arkansas is definitely on upset alert, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm taking Hawaii. I'm taking Hawaii on this one.
I don't blame you on that. Hawaii plays a very weird brand of defense where they don't help on anything. They don't help and they don't switch.
Mm-hmm.
If this were anyone other than an experienced coach, I'd say upset alert.
Yeah.
If this were any of the other 5 seeds outside of maybe St. John's, like if this were Vanderbilt, I'd be ringing the upset alert. If this were, where are they? If this were Texas Tech, I might even be ringing the upset alert.
Yeah.
But I think Calipari's just too experienced. This Arkansas team's just too experienced, so I'm going with Arkansas here.
But the thing is with Calipari, in my opinion, like there's just times where he's had elite teams and he's a first round out.
Exit. That is true. That is very true.
And that's the reason why I'm having him on it. Like I like Calipari's experience, but like with Calipari, it's either first round exit or you're going to the Final Four.
That's true. And this type of defense could throw him for a loop.
Yeah.
Because teams are used to the switching. That's why teams are able to play the offenses they're able to now. It's because of all the switching. You force a mismatch, you either back the guy down or you hit a 3 over someone. So this is going to make this lineup is going to make Arkansas earn it 1-on-1.
Yeah.
This is a mano-a-mano game. It's honestly who can play smarter basketball and who's going to want it more.
I think Hawaii might actually switch up their defense a little bit on this one.
Just throw them for a loop.
Because mano-a-mano, I like Arkansas's odds, but there's just something about this Hawaii team. Like they're pretty dangerous, and I've seen them get hot during like their conference tournament. So I'm this might be my upset pick. I think I'm going with Hawaii on this one.
That's fair.
BYU versus Texas. I'm sorry, BYU is just I did not like BYU's February at all. They got a good win against Iowa State, but like I've just seen too much negativity around this BYU team, and I was riding with them mid-season, but I think I rode with them too much. I'm not liking BYU.
I would take Texas here, but I've been burned the past 2 years shitting on BYU in the first round. I think that's sending me a message that the past 2 times I've faded them in the first round, they've kind of had an explosive first round.
Yeah.
So I'll take BYU to win the first round. They're not getting past the second round. But I'm just going with you proved me wrong twice. So I might you know what? I owe you the due diligence to at least pick you once.
Gonzaga versus Kennesaw State. I'm going with Gonzaga on this one.
Yeah, Gonzaga is just too big. They've got the players, so that's about it.
Miami versus Missouri. I like this Miami team a lot. So I'm going with Miami. I think they could even make a push for the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like this Miami team as well. I'm going to take them over Missouri as well, despite Missouri getting a fucking home game somehow. Don't ask me how that happened.
Purdue versus Queens. Queens, if I'm not mistaken, they're not going to exist next year, correct? They're going to be Elon.
Yeah, them and Elon are combining. I don't know who's going to be who, but they're combining.
It's going to be Elon.
So Elon's getting a swim team then.
Yeah.
So
Purdue.
are they? Purdue.
But,
First and last NCAA tournament for Queens.
Yes. I don't know if this is going to count for Elon.
Yeah.
But we will see. Lightning round of 32 till the final four. Arizona versus Utah State. Give me Arizona. Wisconsin versus Hawaii on my end. Give me Wisconsin. Texas versus Gonzaga. I might go with Texas on this one, but toss up. I'm going Gonzaga. Miami versus Purdue. Give me Miami. Arizona versus Wisconsin. Give me Arizona. Gonzaga versus Miami. I like this Miami team a lot, actually. Give me Miami. Arizona versus Miami. Give me Arizona.
In my kind of lightning round, I've got Arizona, Utah State. Give me Arizona. I got Wisconsin, Arkansas. Give me Arkansas. I got BYU, Gonzaga. Give me Gonzaga. And then in Miami, Purdue. Give me Purdue. I just think Purdue's three-point shooting is just going to outpace Miami. I think Miami plays a little too slow to keep up with Purdue, and Purdue's having anything of average and above night shooting. I think it's just going to be too much. Then from there, I've got Arizona, Arkansas. I've got Arizona winning that one. Then I've got Gonzaga, Purdue. I've got Purdue winning that one. And then I've got Arizona, Purdue in the Elite Eight. Arizona going to the Final Four for me.
Going down to the South bracket, we have our 1-16 seed matchup, Florida versus Prairie View. Florida, the defending champions. Give me Florida.
I'm going with Florida as well.
Clemson versus Iowa. This is probably my favorite 8-9 matchup. I like Clemson a lot. Iowa is just one of those consistently, like I've said it before on the podcast, they're a good Big Ten team, but I don't know, maybe it's the ACC bias showing, but I like them in the latter half of this season. They've kind of haven't hit all the highs I think they could have hit. So I'm really in a toss-up right now. I might go with Iowa on this one.
I'm going to have to disagree with you and go with Clemson. I think Clemson's got a little bit of momentum going their way despite their injuries. I don't know if they're getting their players back, but they've got a little bit of an injury bug, but I like Clemson. This Iowa team's great, but I just don't trust Big Ten teams in March. I don't know if you guys saw the graphic. The guy who we like to reference on here, Michael McKelvey, who does all the analytics videos, March Madness actually had him do a video about how the Big Ten has sent the most teams to the tournament over the last 40 years, least amount of national championships out of the Power Four.
Interesting.
So I'm taking Clemson here. Give me Clemson.
Vanderbilt versus McNeese. I like this Vanderbilt team a lot, but McNeese is just one of those teams that, I thought they were going to fall more off of cliff without Will Wade, but they've really kind of hold their own and won their conference. So I'm going Vanderbilt, but keep an eye on this one.
I'm going McNeese. Everything Vanderbilt does, McNeese does better. McNeese is the best defense for turnovers this season. They force 25 turnovers a game. They get 35 offensive rebounds and 35 defensive rebounds. They are a dominant force on the glass. They have one of the best two-point shooting defenses in the nation. They have one of the best three-point shooting defenses in the nation. They have one of the better defenses. They have a top 50 defense, which is unheard of for a mid-major. They have an effective field goal percentage of 48.9. That just essentially effective field goal means they take out all those into the half heaves, all those, just kind of stupid shots you take in garbage time. They just take the field goals that matter. I'm taking McNeese here. I like him a lot. Give me McNeese over Vanderbilt.
I do want to say I think I've changed my mind on Clemson versus Iowa. I got Clemson winning. Just injured players coming back, and like I don't know, I'm scared on Big Ten teams now. And I looked at the rest of my bracket. I have more Big Ten teams winning, so there needs to be one that falls. So, but Nebraska versus Troy, I really like this Nebraska team. Troy, really good out of the Sun Belt, but this Nebraska team, when they're hitting their stride, they're hitting it very well. But they've had a little bit of a slide near the end of the season, which might be cause for concern. But if the Nebraska of like earlier this year comes out, this is a dangerous team.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Nebraska. Get their first ever NCAA tournament win, which that's crazy. That's crazy. That's even a fucking statement.
Yeah.
Give me Nebraska.
UNC versus VCU. Oh boy. I'm going to be honest.
Matchup for y'all.
I don't like it either. And I'm keeping my expectations for this tournament very low. But I think UNC's kind of figured out what to do without Caleb Wilson, in my opinion. They've had a lot of players step up, but a lackluster ACC tournament appearance kind of has a sour taste in my mouth. But after that loss to NC State, there was like that series of games where UNC, without Caleb Wilson, just looked elite. But then it came out that Caleb Wilson was just not coming back for the rest of the season, and it looked like we reset and we're at rock bottom again. So I'm picking UNC to win this one, but I don't know. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't let you not pick UNC in the first round. Like you kind of, and in my opinion, if your team makes the NCAA tournament, you have to at least pick them in one game. You have to pick them in at least the first round. Like,
yeah,
I'm not saying you have to.
yes.
I'm just saying, like in my mind, like I don't like when NC State went in 2024. I was under the impression that we were just gonna get fucking smacked by Texas Tech in the first round. But I'm like, on principle, I have to pick them.
Yes.
In at least one game.
Yes.
This game I've honestly deliberated on more than most of the other games. UNC doesn't particularly do anything bad, but they don't do anything really well, particularly without Caleb Wilson. I'm looking at the stats here. UNC, the one thing they do very particularly well is they don't give up a whole lot of free throws. On average, they only give up around 23 free throws a game, which I know that sounds like a lot, but that's actually third best in the nation. That's actually pretty good. So they play pretty disciplined defense. But I think that's because their defense on the whole isn't very aggressive. They have the least amount of turnovers forced as a defense as well. And that's not a slight to them. It's just that's how they're able to keep those foul numbers so low. It's kind of a pick your poison. NC State at times fouls a lot, but we also force some of the most turnovers in the nation. McNeese is the same way. McNeese fouls a lot, but they force 25 turnovers a game. UNC doesn't foul a lot, but they also don't force a whole lot of turnovers. They kind of just let you run your offense as is. They let you kind of dictate whether you're going to succeed or not. I may go with VCU here just because it's like I thought UNC was going to be fine after that stretch of games you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But I think hearing Caleb Wilson wasn't coming back just absolutely took the wind out of their sails.
Yeah.
And UNC at times has almost felt like State where it only feels like only certain players really care about how the team does now.
Yeah.
Like that Clemson game, I feel like the only guy who really wanted to win that game was Vasar. Yeah. Vasar and Trimble were really the only two that really seemed like they wanted to be there at that point.
Yeah.
Now, if UNC shows up, I think they can handle VCU easily. But the problem is if they show up like they did in those games, and then the last, like in the Clemson game, where it's only Vasar and Trimble, I'm a little scared for them. That's why I want VCU here.
Illinois versus Penn. This one's weird. But this is a really good Illinois team with notable wins against Texas Tech, Tennessee, Purdue, Nebraska, Indiana, but kind of just not able to show up against like the bigger Big Ten teams like Michigan, Michigan State, and a loss to UConn earlier in the season. I'm going with Illinois on this one, but I think maybe 3 is a little bit high for them as a seed.
I like this Illinois team a lot. They are one of the most efficient offenses per KenPom of the last 15 years. Their defense is really where the issue lies, but I like this team shooting. So I'll give me Illinois. They are one of the most efficient and have some of the highest shot making abilities of any of these teams. So give me Illinois here.
St. Mary's versus Texas A&M. I don't like Texas A&M at all this year. I'm sorry. I just look at them and I see fraudulent. Most notable wins: Auburn, fraudulent win. Not that impressive. Lost to Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Texas, and a win against Kentucky. Also, another fraudulent team in my opinion. So I'm going St. Mary's on this one.
I really don't like either of these teams. I think I'm going to go Texas A&M just because I like them a little bit better, but I really don't like either of these teams. I think they're both fraudulent.
Houston versus Idaho. Give me Houston.
Give me nuclear bomb over coughing baby.
Alrighty, lightning round. For me, Florida versus Clemson, Florida. Vanderbilt versus Nebraska. Give me Nebraska. North Carolina versus Illinois. Give me UNC. Houston versus St. Mary's. Give me Houston. Florida versus Nebraska. Give me Florida. North Carolina versus Houston. Give me Houston. Houston versus Florida. Give me Houston again. Houston goes on to the Final Four.
For me, I've got Florida Clemson. Give me Florida. McNeese versus Nebraska. Give me Nebraska. I think McNeese runs out of gas. I got VCU Illinois. Give me Illinois. And then I've got Texas A&M Houston. Give me Houston. Then my Sweet 16, I got Florida Nebraska. Sorry, Nebraska. This is where your kind of, your first true March Madness run ends. Sweet 16 for after your first tournament win, not bad. But, I got Florida here. I got Illinois beating Houston. I know that sounds crazy. But when I said I know Houston's improved their tempo, Illinois' offense is just so efficient and they shoot the ball from 3 really well that I really do worry for Houston.
Yeah.
Not saying they can't keep up, but if Illinois has anything above an above average night, Houston's going to have to play at Illinois' pace, and I don't think that favors them. So give me Illinois. Then I've got Illinois versus Florida. I know Florida's righted the ship a lot this year, but there have been some very kind of, testy moments. And then just kind of a one-off with Illinois. I think I got to take Illinois over Florida, so I got Illinois to the Final Four.
Going over to the Midwest region, we have Michigan at the 1 seed. This is a very good Michigan team. They're going up against Howard. Give me Michigan.
Give me Michigan as well.
Georgia versus St. Louis. St. Louis has had their slip-ups throughout the season, but I still really like them a lot, and I think 8's a little high for Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia hasn't done a whole lot this season, so I'm going St. Louis.
All right, now we get into a stretch of games where I could see a lot of upsets coming. right now.
Oh, I agree.
Texas Tech versus Akron. Gareth, what are your opinions on this one? Because this Akron team, like I know Miami, Ohio, is kind of taking the spotlight for a little while, but this is a good team, and they've had some impressive wins, some head scratchers, but I don't know. Something about this team.
Yeah. Texas Tech is missing their best player, JT Toppin, so I do think this opens the door for Akron a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, I think this is the second most likely 5-12 upset out of the ones.
Mhm.
High Point and IU are definitely capable,
Mhm.
but I think this is the second most likely. I'm unfortunately not taking this one,
Mhm.
but it wouldn't surprise me. I'm not writing it off. But for the sake of me having to pick, I'm going with Texas Tech here.
I'm
I think
sending it on this one.
You're sending on this one the upset?
Yeah. Texas Tech has the injuries. Akron, hasn't Akron had a little bit of a? They've been known to play spoiler before, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe I'm blanking on it, but it would not surprise me if they have.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of teams on the 12-13 line that have been traditional spoilers.
Yeah. After that, Alabama versus Hofstra. Now, here's another matchup where I could see some freaky stuff happening. This Alabama team, I'm not high on. Losses to Gonzaga, Arizona, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Florida, and just a little bit questionable. Now, granted, these Hofstra's best wins are Pitt, Syracuse, William and Mary, and Towson. But I am a CAA enthusiast.
Of course.
Alabama's on upset alert, but I can't go back-to-back upsets, so I'm going Alabama on this one.
If there's going to be a 4-13 upset, it's going to be this one.
Yes.
I'm not taking it just yet, but if there's going to be a 4-13 upset, it's going to be this one. But I'm unfortunately taking Alabama here because I've got a few more upsets up my sleeve.
Tennessee versus Miami. Miami's kind of like I've kind of switched my tone about Miami after this win against SMU. And this Tennessee team, like once again, like I'm on high alert with a lot of SEC teams. Give me Miami of Ohio on this one.
This one's another one where I'm not sure. I'm taking Tennessee in this one, but I do think Miami, Ohio is capable. If they played like they played tonight, where if they're not hesitating on these open threes and they're just taking them, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But for right now, I'm going to have to stick with Tennessee. Not for long, but I'm sticking with Tennessee.
Virginia versus Wright State. Give me UVA.
Give me UVA as well.
Santa Clara versus Kentucky. Santa Clara. Give me Santa Clara's on this one. This one's not even like a 10 over a 7 is not an upset in my mind, or like not a huge upset. Give me Santa Clara on this one.
This one's got upset written all over it. I know you said it's not an upset
in my mind, but by the layman, I understand it being an upset.
This is when it comes to the analytics, the only game that I'd say rivals, at least from an analytical standpoint, in terms of like the hidden stats that aren't seen obviously in season record, outside of McNeese Vanderbilt that has upset written all over it, is this. Yeah. Santa Clara forces a whopping 20 turnovers a game. Kentucky turns the ball over about 15. It's all right. That's still not great, but not great. Santa Clara is a dominant force on the offensive glass. They're a dominant force on the defensive glass. The only thing they don't do particularly well is shoot free throws. They don't get to the free throw line. It's not that they don't make them, they just don't get to the free throw line a whole lot. When they're there, they make them very well. This Santa Clara team, they shoot really well from the floor. They shoot really well from 2-point land. They shoot 57% from 2-point land, and they shoot 45% from three. I'm taking Santa Clara here. This Kentucky team played good basketball for about 4 weeks in January when they were top the SEC. They played good basketball for about 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Give me Santa Clara.
Yeah. Without a doubt. That's going to be my lock of the tournament right now, right? Santa Clara taking down Kentucky, that's my lock. Book it.
Book it.
Like, if you gun to my head, they said pick an upset. I'm like, it's not an upset to me. It's an upset to all of y'all. But give me Santa Clara. This is easy money. Easy money. Aiden proceeds to jinx this. Iowa State versus Tennessee State. Iowa State.
Iowa State, yeah.
Alrighty. Lightning round. Once again, Michigan, St. Louis. Give me Michigan. Akron versus Alabama. Give me Akron. Alabama falls. Miami versus Virginia. Give me UVA. Santa Clara versus Iowa State. Give me Iowa State. UVA versus Iowa State. Give me UVA. Michigan versus Akron. Give me Michigan. Michigan versus UVA. This is a toss-up in my mind. But I really like this Michigan team a lot. Give me Michigan.
You and I have an eerily similar bracket in this region.
Yes.
So Michigan, St. Louis. Unfortunately, I've got Michigan. Texas Tech, Alabama. I've got Texas Tech beating Alabama. UVA, Tennessee. That's not even a question. Give me UVA. Santa Clara, Iowa State. Unfortunately, as much as it pains me to say, I'm taking Iowa State over my family friends team, so give me Iowa State. Then I've got Michigan, Texas Tech. Texas Tech. This is where the injury bug catches up with you. I know you were able to get the win at Iowa State names. You were still able to get really, really, really good wins even without JT Toppin. But I think this is where it catches up with you. You're playing another team of your caliber that does not have the injury bug. They're not missing their guy. So give me Michigan. UVA, ISU, give me UVA. UVA, Michigan. I like Michigan. I know UVA kept it close with Duke, but that's because when Duke gets ahead, they get sloppy and just their immaturity shows. When Duke thinks they have a game put away, i.e. Carolina.
And Texas Tech, Virginia, that was the only, yeah.
Texas Tech, when they think they have a game put away, all of their losses have come when they've been up big and they've decided the game was over before the game was over. So
I think they've kind of righted that ship, though, in my opinion.
They have righted that ship. And except for that UVA game in the ACC tournament, championship game where they let UVA back into it a few times. Michigan's the only team that consistently has hung with Duke the entire way. Like, they've never been down big.
Yeah.
Give me Michigan over UVA. They're a little bit more consistent. They're a little less streaky. Give me Michigan.
Yeah.
To the Final Four.
So my Final Four is Duke, Houston, Arizona, Michigan. If I'm not mistaken, yours is Duke, Illinois, Arizona, and Michigan.
Yes.
Once again, I have one of the most boring Final Fours. 3 1 seeds and 1 2 seed.
That's statistically what it is. It's usually 3 1 seeds statistically.
Yeah. Anyway, Duke versus Houston. I'm going to go with Duke. Arizona versus Michigan. I'm going to go with Michigan. We're getting a rematch of the DC matchup in Indianapolis this time. I think the results stay the same. I have Duke as my national champion.
In my Final Four, I have Duke beating Illinois. I just think I think the defensive woes are going to come bite them in the ass, and I've got Arizona, Michigan. I've got Arizona winning that one in the national championship. I have Arizona beating Duke. in a
I would
close
not
one.
be upset if Arizona won the national championship. That's a good.
I wouldn't either. I know the biggest question mark with Arizona is their ability to shoot the three ball, and that is really important in March. But they've done a good job with it. Like they've improved their 3-point shooting.
Mm-hmm.
It's still not their go-to. They still play that very kind of old school, like go inside first.
Yeah.
But they've improved it. Like they can shoot it from 3 when they need to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think as far as bracket analysis, I think that'll do it for us. I still need to fill out a fun bracket and get the analytics brackets in.
We are going to be cutting this podcast a little bit short. We focused on the tournament, but we are going to be working hard on our brackets. These were our official, I guess, Tobacco Road and Abroad brackets. But we need to be working some analytics. We're going to be using AI. We're going to be going up against AI, man versus machine. We're going to be giving updates throughout the weeks about how we're faring up against our competition, and we're just going to be grinding that out for the rest of the night.
Our vibes brackets,
Mm-hmm.
and then we may even there's some content creators that they're literally March Madness creators year round. Ryan Hammer, who we talk about a lot on here. The second this March Madness ends, you know what he's talking about? The next one.
Oh,
He's talking about the next season already. Not the kind of half-assed, not too early top 25. No, he's talking about matchups that are in December, January, and February of next year, starting May.
you know what his favorite March Madness is? The next one.
That he's already talking about the next one. He's already talking about the next. This man lives and breathes March.
This man is the Santa Claus of March Madness because he's already thinking about next year before the sleigh even comes out of the North Pole.
So, if you want someone to check out a really cool college basketball podcast, obviously watch ours. But if you really want a really cool college basketball podcast, I listen to this when I work out. It's called the Blue Blood Podcast. Dude, genuinely, he reminds me of a John Fanta.
Mm-hmm.
He can find something entertaining about every single team he watches.
Mm-hmm.
He can find something he likes.
Yeah.
Unlike Dick Vitale and Charles Barkley.
Don't go there. I love Dick Vitale and Charles Barkley. I had a good I watched with the sound on. I like them as commentators. It's like
I like them as commentators separately.
Come on, man. That was I know you. I knew
Texas hits a 2. Yeah, I really hate NIL. NC State hits a 3. Man, you were so fat back in the day. You ain't pizza. The commentator.
Did NC State have a timeout? Yeah, they just used it. Oh.
Texas gets the steal and a breakaway. You know what I don't like? I don't like that guy Caleb Williams in the draft. I think he's already in the NBA. He's actually in the NFL. I love Dickie V and I love Charles Barkley.
I love them and I love them together. That was just like, in my opinion,
Not their best performance last night.
watching it. Listen, it's sometimes I like commentators where it just feels like you're two uncles that are really into basketball, but they may not know what's going on in the modern day. And you kind of have to go, come on, Uncle Barkley. Like, come on, Uncle V. let's.
I like that Caleb Williams guy. I think he's in the NFL. But I like them, but it was a little frustrating going, and here's the steal. You were fat back in the day,
I remember.
Your ass was fat.
Okay. I'll say this. I love them. I love them together, but I understand Garrett's plight. If your team is playing and you're watching it, you're a little bit pissed.
Yeah.
Every other context, that's must see TV for me.
I mean, there are even Duke fans that were like, 2 teams are playing. Sure, let's talk about the other 66 teams in the field.
I remember, like I was watching the game, and God love them because I sure do. But like the conversations they were having, I will say this: it felt like one team was blowing the other out, but it's like actually like a
It was
really
neck and
close
neck.
game. It was neck and
It was a great game.
Dudes are having a conversation like one team's up 30, but it's like a
NC State and
great.
Texas are having an existential battle, like battle for the ages on the court.
Yeah.
You know you were fat back in the day.
But they'll never make it. I'll never hate Dick Vitale. That man's a legend. We must enjoy every game we can get with Dick Vitale while he is still with us, God willing. I know he's had a couple scary bouts with cancer. That's never fun. But I'm always a Dick Vitale fan, and I'm always a Charles Barkley fan.
Yeah, I am too. Not their best performance, but hey, dude doesn't have like like you said, we got to cherish what we got left of him. So, and apparently he had never commentated with Charles Barkley in a while. Like he hadn't done that in a while.
Yeah.
So happy for him. Maybe let's not fat shame a guy the next time you guys are together, because it wouldn't be so bad if every other comment wasn't, you were fat back in the day. Like, bro, we get it. Charles Barkley was chunky as fuck at Auburn. You don't need to say it 8 times. Like, it looked to the point where Charles Barkley looked like he was starting to feel bad. Like, bro. And then you order him a fucking hot dog after it pans to his comment from like however long ago Charles Barkley was playing at Auburn. And it was Dick Vitale going, yeah, that boy needs to lay out the pizza and the hot dogs. And he fucking orders him a pizza and a hot dog. Even Sarah's family, who has no tie to this, was like, what's going on?
His name is Dick Vitale, and he is a treasure, but also he simultaneously has some of the best calls in college basketball, yet also some of the worst calls in college basketball.
Yeah. But no, I think that'll do it for us tonight. I got to be up early, and I got to finish all these brackets by 9:15 tomorrow, so I'm in for a long and a short night, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
The Phantoms are going to be out on this one.
Ooh.
But no, really appreciate you guys listening in, and we will see you next week.